What is up, guys, and welcome to the Nexus podcast, episode number 5. And today we are doing a podcast to report on the Pro Tour that just happened this past weekend. So yeah, how's everyone doing? How you feeling, Kieran? You're still over there at the moment, so.
Yeah, no, I'm in Utrecht still right now. I'm just prepping for prepping for my holiday, but also getting ready for the Grand Open in next weekend. So, yep, 1 week's time.
Nice. And what about you, Harry? You had a great result, which we'll get to soon. How you feeling now you're back at home?
Mostly pretty good. I mean, I went with 3 of my teammates, and unfortunately, none of them qualified for Worlds, which was quite sad. On the day of the Saturday, even though I topped, I felt worse about that than I did about than I felt good about myself topping. But I think now that the dust has settled a bit, and we debriefed it as a team, yeah, I do feel pretty good about myself. So yeah, very, very happy overall. It was a good time.
And so you should. What about you, Emmy? I know you didn't make it, but you went to another friend's wedding. How was the wedding?
Yeah, it was good. It was good to be distracted at the wedding from the messages of everyone reporting the wins, and it was great to cheer from afar. And then I had the chance to catch up with all the VODs, both the Swiss rounds and the top cut. See everyone playing. It was pretty great. How was yours, Josh?
Yeah, no, I had a really good time seeing everyone. My result was good. I also qualified for Worlds, so we all made it. So it doesn't have to be a sad boy stream with me not going. But yeah, no, it was really good. My deck didn't perform as well as I expected it to, but we'll also get to that. But no, in all, really great time. Had a really great evening after the tournament, and also the second day was really good as well, unexpectedly. Nice surprise from Bandai, which we'll also talk about soon. But yeah, so basically for today's podcast, me, Harry, and Kieran are just going to go over our matchups for the day. I'll talk about our failings and our glories, and yeah, just talk about a few card choices and things. And then Emmy's going to talk about he's going to Grand Open next week with Kieran, so him and Kieran can have a little discussion about it. I wish I was going, but unfortunately not possible for me. But yeah, no, we'll get into these right now, I guess, these lists. So let's have a look. All right. So the first list is actually mine, which is nice and easy. So I'll just go ahead. I actually had the lowest result out of everyone. I unfortunately only went 3 and 4. However, still good enough to qualify. 2 of my guys were in the top 16 that I was defeated by. But yeah, overall, it did really well, but I just ran into a lot of really difficult matchups. Like, my hardest matchup pretty much with this deck was white control, high roll, and yeah, unfortunately, I ran into it 3 times during the day. However, I did beat it on the last round against Anthony Alvarez, which was quite a difficult match, honestly, but I got very lucky. But yeah, I'll go through my matchup. So my first matchup of the day was Pterosaur, which I won. Pretty much just out-tempoed them using Needle Shot, really. Form Prison, both of us had Form Prison in the main. But my Needle Shots and Scope Owls were just, getting that extra rest and block just to get me over the line. The game was 2-1. On the first game, I kind of dominated. The last game, it was kind of like down to, do I have a Swift? If I do, I win. If I don't, I lose. And I did, fortunately.
And Josh, is your deck on the stream?
Yes, it is. Yeah, it's on the screen right now. You can see. So pretty much I'll just go through my choices a bit. Pretty much I was using Dragonaga for a draw engine. So I found it quite effective. It was a nice pressure, having a bit of curse. But otherwise it's pretty much a sort of green aggro deck. Utilizing Tokuwa, trying to get quick wins. Pretty much like swinging in with 4Ks and then resting my opponent's cards on the crackback, and then attacking in again and doing the same. And essentially, it was quite a stonewall. It's like a aggro deck with a decent defense. And the main kind of strategy was to play two things that are around 4K, kind of like the red strategy. But then on my opponent's turn, use my energy off of my spirits in order to open the door for more free attacks next turn. Get them down pretty quickly, and then just try and get the aggro win. It worked a lot of the time, but against white aggro, obviously a lot of the white control, a lot of the guys are running a lot of suppressions, infinity shields, stream bombs, ice shields. I was hoping I wouldn't run into too much of that because it was expected to be a purple meta, but unfortunately I only ran into one purple, which was the guy I practiced with for the whole time, which is typical of my luck, but we'll also get there. But yeah, no, it's overall the deck did exactly what I wanted to, but I just came into some hard matchups. So yeah, and in regards to my sideboard, the idea is that my opponent would try switch their strategy up to go as wide as possible, and I would just basically bypass this. Dream bombs, more dream bombs for suppression, Camelot Knight for suppression, and yeah, Arcana Joker would just pretty much replace weirdly Tokuwa, and that was proving quite effective because people would end up going wide, and a lot of the time they'd end up having to kill off their own spirits, trying to defend themselves from like a Joker unblockable or something. So
what was the Dream Bomb for?
Dream Bomb mainly for suppression, which was my worst sort of. Infinity Shield and suppression was my worst kind of nightmare.
Of course.
So
how did the one-off play for you in the end in the main?
Yeah, no, it was good. I mean, that was kind of a one of just because I had 3 in the side initially, but I had to like shuffle things around for the Camelot Knight, and I didn't really want 4 Matte Butterfly with 2 Dream Bomb, so it was kind of just like a one of. I didn't want to go above 50 cards either. It did come up though. It was always useful when it came up as a one of, but obviously a lot of my matchups were very orientated of resting early and just being a bit cheesy almost and just swinging in. So first game, like I was saying, was Pterosaur. Second game I played our friend from the Church of Pantan. Shout out to those guys. It was really nice to meet them over the weekend. I played Cosmic. He was playing kind of a white control pile, using K and stuff, which was kind of interesting.
I was sat next to you when you two were playing, I think, and I just look over and see like Ginger Bloom and K, and like obviously we ran a lot of Tin Soldiers in our team, so we're used to using Ginger Bloom as a proxy for it. So I'm like, oh, he's proxying Tin Soldier. I'm like, wait, no, we're at the front door.
So he's basically using all of like the 0 drops to, I think, kind of recycle them with K. Was the idea, and it was quite a cool deck. It was really tight games, but yeah, he was running mainly a white control sort of core, and yeah, no, he just hit the right cards. I sided in the Joker's game too, and that went pretty well. And then I think I kind of learned the lesson. He then sided in Countersword, which really hurt my Joker play. So I learned for the rest of the day that I should probably take Arcana Joker back out and go into Tokuwa into game 3, which did help me later on. But yeah, shout out to him. He actually gave me some X rares and we had a good chat, and hopefully we can collaborate in the future and do something between the two podcasts, which would be great. Then game 3 was Pterosaur again, which I won again. Guy all the way from Australia. It was just a tight game, really, and I just edged him out because I had these spells. Game 4, I played a good friend, Ayumu, Andy's. I've been practicing with him, and honestly, I built my deck basically to beat his style. And over the 3 games, I didn't see one Starblast draw, which, well, I think I saw 2, but they didn't resolve. And yeah, we had a great game. It was really tight, 2-1 to him in the end. But unfortunately, I had a bit of a brick, and it was really frustrating because I built this deck. It was basically to beat purple, and it was working really well. However, yeah, the only purple I saw all day was the guy that I'd been practicing with, so he knew exactly how to play against me after about at least 10 games we'd played. And that's typical of me. That always happens to me at tournaments. So I decided for future tournaments I'm just no longer going to practice. And I'm just going to do what Marv does and just play by myself. But yeah, the next game was against Pim. He's a Dutch player. He unfortunately was good friends with the player I played in round 1. So first thing he said when he sat down is, "I know exactly what you're doing because my friend played you earlier," which really, it kind of actually tilted me a bit, to be quite honest. Because it's but I mean, it's standard. Obviously, people will do that all the time, so I can't really complain. But yeah, no, he was playing Nova aggro, and he genuinely, I mean, I know this is like a cop-out complaint, but he genuinely hit the nuts pretty hard in both games. He even admitted it. That, like, after the games, the first thing he said was, "Well, I hit the nuts both games, so you really didn't have a chance." And I was like, "Yep, excellent." so yeah, that happened, and that basically put me. I had to win the last game to get to Worlds, and then I was thinking it can't be too bad if I'm X4. I should get an okay matchup, but no. I sat down with an American player, Anthony Alvarez, who has done really well at a lot of tournaments. Placed quite high. He was having quite a bad day, he said when he sat down. But yeah, typically he was playing white control. So I was like, oh goodness, okay, well, that's me down and out. But in the first game I got absolutely ruined. He just managed to establish and destroy me. The next game I said, you know what? I'm going to try something completely different because I've been having trouble with white control all day. I literally took out the Dragonaga Assassin for the Camelot Knights and the Tokawas for the Jokers, and put the Dream Bombs in for, I think it was 2 Starblast draw. So pretty much just going as low to the ground as possible. And I decided I'd just keep swinging and resting stuff until I either win or lose. And then, yeah, fortunately, the last 2 games lasted about 10 minutes because I managed to just clutch it out by getting exactly the right cards in hand to swing and rest. And it felt really good. I'm not gonna lie. I just nice. Yeah, it was basically as clutch as you could get. But shout out to him. He was pretty bummed out by the result he had. But yeah, we had a bit of banter later on in the hotel.
Nice.
I know. Obviously, this is it's been unfortunate that this is a 1 tournament format, but
yeah,
if it wasn't, what any changes you would make to deck with the current card pool?
And we can discuss it in terms of assuming that we stay in PT format. Maybe for the people going to Chile who are watching, they might want a couple.
Yeah. For those going to Chile, what would you recommend them changing if they wanted to copy your list?
Potentially just get rid of Dragonaga Assassin, add 2 pincers in, maybe 4 pincers, just because they're a 2-core 4K, and it's 2 for 1 because you rest on play. So it's basically another Thorn Prison. And I think, yeah, maybe 4 Map Butterflies would be good as well. But yeah, no, in reality, the deck performed well. Like, beating Pterosaur is no easy feat, even with its nerf. Playing into red and doing what it wants to do, but better, felt pretty good. So I can't complain there. and also it did beat White Control when I went low and quick. So no, yeah, really fun. Definitely a rogue choice. I think my testing. In testing, it did so good that I was maybe a bit overconfident with it in reality.
Yeah, in testing, you kind of kicked our asses. Like I did play a couple of games with you. It was really strong.
Yeah, I mean, it was doing fantastically. I don't know. I don't feel like I played bad either. I felt very focused during the day. Did get a bit tilted further on as the day went on, which is
it's hard,
something
man.
that's quite hard to avoid, you know, if you're running into bad matchups and stuff. But like I say, I still managed to get there, so I've got no complaints. I'm really happy with the result. I just know that for Worlds, I'm gonna definitely have to play something that's more of an established deck rather than trying to catch people out, because it's the field is too strong. The players, I need to respect my opponents more in that kind of respect. Not that I don't respect them, but do you know what I mean? With my deck choice, I need to respect my opponents more, that they won't be easy to catch out. So yeah, let's go through Kieran's deck now, and Kieran can talk about his matchups and anything else related to the deck. So take it away, bro.
Yeah, sounds good. So I played, I called it White Tempo. Big shout out to obviously Aaron, or at the Hippocamp, I believe his Twitter is now. This was I had done like no testing for the Pro Tour coming up, I think like 2 or 3 weeks prior, and I was like, well, where do I even start at this point? And thankfully, sorry. But yeah, no. And then I contacted Aaron, and he kind of like we played just a little bit, and he was playtesting with his Tempo Wide deck, and I kind of like the style of it. It looked really good, and I kind of just picked up. I went to locals with it and clapped up locals, and I was like, right, this deck is actually a really good deck in practice. Let's refine it together. So we proceeded to refine it together, make some adjustments to it. I mean, you can see on the list, like, it's similar to the very old style of white aggro, where it was just play big guy, poke ports on it, and just poke. I mean, in the last podcast, I mentioned that I wasn't a big fan of the white aggro list that played, you know, the 20 free cost dudes, especially going into this meta. So, you know, like Pegasion and Jet Wyvern were just more meta calls, as we thought purple was the most popular color. So that's why Jet Wyverns were there. Pegason's an amazing card in general. Yeah, the list kind of does what it does. You got the Valkyrie Miss. It's just insane tempo cards. I will say this is probably the most simplistic list you're going to see in terms of just playing 4 of all the good cards in the game. A couple of 3s with like the Jaguars and Derms, but we want to play the best spells in the game, and we want to play the best spirits in the game that fit the deck strategy. Yeah, the sideboard was more because game 1, your red matchup's a little bit rough, especially against pterosaurs. We kind of thought there'd be some more pterosaurs than what I personally. So I actually didn't play a single red player all day in the PT. But our sideboard was very heavy against red and also white control. White control was a bit of a rough matchup as well if they got past, I think, turn 4, turn 5. But yeah, this deck has the potential to kill turn 2 or turn 3 like white aggro, and it's got the potential just to win, you know, longer tempo matches. So yeah, it was a really good list, really like it. I don't think it's dead moving in set 3, but you need to refine it a tiny bit, I think. Talking about the matchups, yeah, so round 1 I actually played Anthony Alvarez. I know his name's been mentioned a little bit so far, but yeah, he was on white control, or that white control K list. I beat him 2-0. I mean, this list is pretty good against white. I did what I did. I think game 1 he punted. He could have won if he just called an extra guy down, but he ended up losing to, you know, attacking into a Thorn Prison, and the nuts went up. I don't think he'd seen a Thorn Prison both games, so I don't know if he was expecting it or not, especially in this wacky list. But I think Thorn Prison proved itself being probably one of the cards of the tournament, for those who watch some of the VODs as well. Game 2 I played against a purple tempo list, Angel Montanez. He beat me 0-2. I completely threw game 2. I could have won that game, but apparently I forgot how interactions work. I forgot that turn player has the priority in terms of determining how the orders of effects work, and that completely changed it. I think what happened is I had a scope out. I was attacking the scope out. I think he DB'd. He's forecast killed. I had a scope out on one more attacker. He he core thefted my scope out and then DB'd his 4-cost to revive a Beldegor that could block my last guy. I forgot that scope out could have then tapped the newly summoned Beldegor, and I could have gone for game, but those things happen. In Glasgow, I lost because I forgot to leave a core reserve for the elk burn. I've said this many times before. You remember something because you've lost to it, going forward. So that's fine. Round 3, I played against Purple Tempo again, but this time I won 2-0, so it kind of proved, yes, the list can actually beat Purple, so I wasn't going insane. Losing your first or second round in a tournament is a little bit rough, going, X1 or X2 is pretty bad, but yeah, we won against Daniel. Round 3, I played against Andy Rizzo. His list definitely had the Riz. He was playing that white control K deck. I think a lot of the Americans, I know Cosmic was on it, Anthony was on it, and Andy, they were pretty much the exact same pile, but I actually hadn't seen the K from Anthony, so I didn't know what to expect. Game 1 was just rough. I got
played
Aegis.
4K. Sorry, I just opened
He played
the
4K. Yeah,
That's
I didn't.
mad.
He didn't play a single K against me, so I wasn't expecting it against his
Okay.
teammate. Unfortunately, he'd heard of my list prior to today as well. I think Anthony was calling my list an anti-white list, so a lot of his teammates had kind of heard of it at that point. But yeah, I mean, white control. I mean, it was a 1-2 score. That's what the white control matchup can be quite 50-50. I did manage to kill. My bullet ray did end up taking down an Enterprise via Godslaying. That was one of the highlights of the match. He saw it coming as well. I swung with the bullet ray, and he was like, "Why did he swing with a bullet ray into my Enterprise?" He still blocked it, and Godslaying came down, and yeah, that was probably the highlight of that match. Round 5, I played against Benjamin Norwood, who was on green aggro. Very close match. I mean, aggro versus aggro, who draws better? That's pretty much it. Game 1, I saw suppression, I win. Game 2, he saw ice shields, he wins. Game 3, I just saw better, I win. Yeah, very nice guy, but he played the original Battle Spirits game as well, so it was really nice kind of catching him up after the game and getting his thoughts on what he liked the most about the game. Game 5 was against Stuart Walton. I think he's from Newcastle. Really, really nice player. Our game 1 was 48 minutes long. You wouldn't expect this kind of deck to go against a 48-minute. He was playing white control, but I will give him credit. It was a very interesting list. He played white control top end, but Hippocampo and Dual Eagle low end. So he was kind of really against aggro. It's very hard to beat that list. Against white control, you want to go very aggressive, but if you go aggressive, his list is going to heal via blessed. What do you do? Honestly, I don't know how I won that game. His playstyle was very what's the word? Very stall-like. There was boards. There was definitely board states where he could have attacked and pushed me and burnt my ice shields faster, but he chose not to. He was just waiting for the elk burn. And I think I bounced his elk 7 times in the game. 3 times via Valkmist and 4 times versus Dream Bomb. He didn't have Enterprise. And I ended up winning just by double jokering. And unfortunately, when your game 1 lasts 48 minutes, realistically, you're not going to finish a game 2 as control white in the last 12 minutes. So we ended up going to time, but he did end up conceding before time just to put my score to 2. I don't know if it makes a difference, but fair play to him. He didn't have to, whatever. My last round was against George Machado. Hardly butchered your last name, sorry. He was playing white controls. I played 4 white controls the whole time, but he was playing red-white, but it wasn't the K list. I beat him 2-0. I know how it feels to go into the last round, and that last round is the make or break. I think his tiebreakers were top of the 4-2s going in, so if he would have won, he would have got top 16 guaranteed. Game 1, I play Bullet Ray, pass. He plays Volcanic Canyon, pass. I play another Bullet Ray. I attack. He goes down to 3. His second turn, he plays a Fula, loads up 4 cores. I just play Valkmist, attack. I win. Game 1, cool. Game 2, same thing happens. So we were done in 10 minutes, which for him, I know that probably sucked, but for me, obviously, on the contrary. But yeah, I mean, that's the benefit of playing kind of these kind of lists. You get to finish your games quite fast. I brought my girlfriend to the event as well, and Battle Spirits events can last very, very long. So I was glad I was playing a deck that eventually I could go back to after 10 minutes or 20 minutes into a round, and not leaving her by herself. But everyone at the event was very, very nice. They came up, kept her company, spoke to her. So very happy with all the players there. And yeah, I ended up finishing 5 and 2. My tiebreakers were very poor, so I finished bottom of the 5 and 2s. I think above one player. So I finished 21st. So my opponents couldn't win, but I clearly couldn't win either. So that's kind of why we finished in that position. There's been times I've been blessed by tiebreakers, so you're going to get screwed over by tiebreakers sometimes as well. It kind of balances out, I like to think. But yeah, that's my personal tournament report.
Yeah, nice one, man, and very well played. It's with less practice, it's good to see you getting a good position. Aaron actually
I
came
just to give a
16th.
big shout out. Yeah, big shout out to Aaron. He got top 16 with the exact same 60, and I think Andre also played a very similar 50. His sideboard was a little bit different. He played Elps on the sideboard.
Yeah.
He did very well. He played against Harry, I believe, in round 5 or round 4.
Yeah.
I
He was
think
going 4-1 actually at one point, yeah. But and he
was top tables, yeah.
He in when the testing was going on with the decks, he was very much pushing for 4 suppressions because he loves that card so much, and he obviously made it in the end because Form Prison's such a prominent card in this mini meta we had. But yeah, no, congratulations, Kieran. You you'd already qualified for Worlds, but it's a nice little cash in for you.
Yeah, I don't know if Worlds invites will pass down or not, but
no, actually, from what I understand, Worlds invites will be passed down for anyone who won in New York. Basically, if they won in New York, their invites will automatically be passed down to the next players in the Utrecht tournament. However, they're not going to pass down if people reject the invites. So it's just people that have automatically won. So we counted, and there was about 20 people, maybe between 20 and 25 people that already had invites that were in the top 64. So there is a big chance that some people might make the tournament, even if they didn't make the top 64.
Yeah. Well,
obviously,
fingers crossed.
Yeah, I mean, that came from Danilo as well, who was the tournament organizer and is obviously a Bandai rep. Shout out to
hopefully
Danilo.
they do pass downs. They send out the information quite soon. I know pass downs and information getting sent out recently has been quite late and leaving it till last notice, and booking flights, it's quite rough.
It's been trouble, yeah. But hopefully it does get sorted out soon. Before we go on to Harry, just a shout out to Danilo. He was the TO for the weekend, and on the second day, he basically made everything free for all the players. So we had a free pre-release sealed tournament. We had 2 where we were given 4 packs to make a deck, and then just play 3 rounds, and then the winners actually got given extra X rare packs. And we also had draft pods, which was really fun. I did my first ever draft in Battle Spirits with Kieran actually, and a few other of the boys, and some of the American guys as well. Anthony was there, and it was just a good time really, and just nice to. In his words, Danilo's words, it was a celebration event. So they didn't want to charge people; they just wanted everyone to have a good time. And I think he really achieved that, and the community really enjoyed the free packs, obviously. So,
big shout out to the production quality of the live stream. If anyone who wants to catch the VOD, it's actually on Wassy Plays' YouTube channel. I know some people are asking where the VODs actually are, but if you go on his channel, you click on live, you'll be able to see both the VODs there. But regarding the production quality, I'll let the man of an hour speak about it, who was on stream I think twice.
Oh yeah. So we'll get to Harry now. Let me just get his.
Before we move on to my list, we have to clear something up. You shouted out Aaron for this list. I don't know why all of you chose to play Jet Wyvern Beatdown without consulting the author of Jet Wyvern Beatdown. You won't be able to see it properly. This was a message I sent Aaron on 3rd of October. Jet Wyvern Beatdown. Which is why I spent the whole time joking with him about him copying my list. And he's like, oh, it's 22 cards different. I'm like, how do you know it's 22 cards different? Exactly off the top of your head, you swine. And obviously, there are things that are different that I agree with.
Wow, cool out, Aaron.
No, he's our boy, of course. Shout out Aaron, we love him. But he's
a plagiarist. That's what he is. He's a plagiarist.
I'm insulted you didn't consult the OG. Where's Nomengard? Where's Brigade? Bridget, I can understand leaving out. But Nomengard, Diner,
I will say, it was funny. Game 2, I was playing some friendlies, and people were coming over saying, "Oh, is that the Aaron Hadfield list you were playing?" Like, yeah, that's his
Oh
list.
no. But well, now on the screen, Harry, is your. I don't know what the best word to describe it.
Tinny Turbo, baby.
Tinny Turbo deck. All right,
Let's go.
do you want to talk about your choices, and then we can get into your run, which was very successful. Obviously, you ended up coming in the top 4, which is a fantastic result. But yeah, no, go ahead and tell everyone about how your deck worked.
Sure. So I think in terms of the deck, obviously the ban list came out. We were testing various things. I don't really like to approach things from the play to win kind of mentality. Obviously, you strive to win, but I think the way in which you win is quite important, and I'd prefer to win while enjoying myself. So for the PT, obviously Battle Spirits is quite a balanced game for the most part, in that, you know, every deck has a hard L matchup. So I think this is part of why the player base can at times get really caught up in their own head trying to think about it from the playing to win point of view, because something will always lose to something else. And I enjoy that about the game, but I can understand it being a bit of a downer in some respects as well if you're trying to prepare from that play to win mentality. I decided to play purple just because I enjoy it the most out of the decks that are currently available. I didn't really think about it much beyond that, which again is why I bring up the Aaron point, because I sent him that list and I was like, if I wanted to win the event, I'd play this. I think it's really good. Like, you just tap with the Jet Wyvern and the Pega and you should win. But I wasn't quite on my villain arc for this tournament. I needed to run Hippocampo to restore the smiles on people's faces. But yeah, we were just testing like normal purple amongst other things, and I think obviously it depends on who you're up against. When I test with my friends, we tend to develop quite an internalized meta game where we meme ourselves into extremes and then go to a tournament and find that things are completely different. A classic example of this would be Burning Force. Burning Force is terrible when we play against each other. It's the most useless card when we play against each other. We're like, it's terrible, don't run it. And then you go to a tournament and it's always kill 2. Like, things like that. And my reason for bringing that up more pertains to Purple Smoke Valley. I really like Purple Smoke Valley. It's great. It's sort of a foundational nexus for purple. But a lot of the things that would proc it are quite easy to play around if you know what you're doing. You know, like Mordred, Core Drain, they all rely on things being exhausted. The combo's quite expensive. So as good as that route is, Core Theft really, really good as a tempo option in the Purple Smoke list as well. But then you'll play against white with armor purples and stuff like that, and it just negates it. So we spent time testing, decided that we would rather build it around Swamp than Smoke as far as the primary purple Nexus goes. It has the 2 reduction, it's easier to get down, it's got a more general effect, you can loop Black Lance with it, it's just very high ceiling. But then the issue with Rotting Swamp becomes not proccing it, and I think that Rotting Swamp has kind of defined the PT format to some extent just because of how swingy everything is, because you don't want to be blocking into Rotting Swamp. Like, blocking is really bad right now because of how prevalent Swamp is. It's in a lot of decks. And so it makes things like Thorn Prison better, just ways like the Bless stuff, it makes all of that better. So as we built into Rotting Swamp more, we tested a bunch of things. You know, Amethystus and Camelot Knight are good, but they can't avoid getting Leoned or Jaguar did. So at a point, I live with my teammate Anthony, shout him out, and yeah, one day I was just like, you know, what do you think about Tin Soldiers? It's 3 core 5k, really good on the block, you can crack it immediately for Swamp. So we tried it, ended up being really good, and that was still in like a pure purple, at which point Tin was probably best at like 2 or 3, because you didn't want to draw it without Swamp. Like, if you double draw Tin without the Swamp, it was pretty bad. And as we tested further and further, obviously I played against you a lot, Josh. You were using green aggro. There was a day where you just clapped me over and over again. I had to start maining Hippocampo just to mitigate it. And after a certain point, you know, we sat down and we were like, well, if our best early game spirits are Tin Soldiers and Hippocampo, and the best late game spirit is Gnomon Gods, like, we're kind of a bit stuck here with purple. Like, what are we doing? So we just sat down. I spoke to Emmy a bit about it in the testing build-up as well. Like, Blessed Cathedral was kind of like the Hail Mary. I will say quickly on Hippocampo as well, we ran Workaround Man at first. We know how good Workaround Man is in a general sense. We tried Hippocampo more as a thought experiment to see, just to compare the heal to the ramp in terms of how often is the heal better or comparable to the ramp. And it turned out in this format that it was more often than not just better, because again, it's quite an aggressive format. People do want to be attacking into you. So With that in mind, I think like the week before the event, we tried Blessed Cathedral in the main and just building into the yellow a bit more. And then at that point, the deck really established its own identity. Like it really built into Tin Soldiers at that point. And I think, I don't know, my opponents or people who watch games maybe could just attest to how often, like, it's literally just stall until you draw Tin Soldier and crack it and like ramp 2, draw 3, like sick. So yeah, it kind of just fell together in that way, I guess. Aside from that, I think it's I wouldn't say a normal list. Obviously, there's a bit of interesting stuff to it, but I think the rest is pretty easy to understand once you get past the woe of the Tin Soldier aspect.
I think it's anything but a normal list in reality. Like, it's very creative. There's very nice interactions with Impaler Forest. You know, Impaler Forest and Tin Soldiers. Obviously, that's one of your own effects, so you're destroying one of your own cards, one of your effects, you're removing cores of things. People don't play around that. They don't expect that with Tin Soldiers. So, you know, there's a lot
and
of
rather ridiculously,
nice,
once you have
stuff.
once you have the big Nexus set up, funnily, Impaler Forest adds Tin Soldier back more than anything else. Because then it's just I'm just ramping and drawing for free. I mean through Impaler Forest just because I didn't want to lose it in case it got Feraled. I think it happened once where someone Feraled it, and it was quite consequential.
Yeah, I mean, it's incredible value, though, let's be honest. Like, with Tin Soldiers, if you got, say, 2 Blessed Cathedrals and an Impaler out, you're doing a lot of interaction when it dies, and your opponent has no choice in the matter. Like, the card's dying, whether they like it or not. And Rotting Swamp, obviously.
It's very, very good defensively as well. And as good as Beldegor is, we didn't want to build into Starbless quite so much. I think in hindsight, obviously, I could have maybe not been so afraid of Starbless. That's why like 2 Black Lance was in the main and stuff like that. But we had to hedge against things like Star Dragons, which did have a presence at the tournament. I was quite lucky to not play any of it, but that was why I ran 2 Nomengard over the 3rd Black Lance and 2 Beldegor. We really had to lean a bit more on the Tin Soldiers defensively.
One question. Why one Smaug?
Because we only had 5. Basically the Smag came in very late. Again, shout Anthony, that was his tech. We didn't know until I think like the Thursday, and at this point we're already in Utrecht. And I will say as well that like we were ill all week, like we weren't exactly testing. I was pretty much bedridden like the whole week. But yeah, so Smag is treated as every color, which means that you can add it back off Lamorak, it procs Blessed Cathedral, all of these great interactions with it, but we didn't realize that until too late. So we had 5 Smag with us. I said I'd run 3 Assassin and the 1 Smag, and that was it. The others ran 2 Smag, I think.
So would you have the Smag count after now in the list?
Yeah, I think if I were to change it, I think the first change would be to add more spells. And the spell ratioing was really tricky, and it was like, I guess the week before I got sick was just endless. Like literally, I think the weekend before the event, I had the team round. They stayed around here. We were testing nonstop, and it was literally just like, okay, 16 spells, draw. We count Scope Owl and stuff as a spell. 16 spells, draw no spells. 17 spells, handful of spells. And spells aren't really that good right now in general. They're okay, but like they're mostly neg 1s. They're more like tempo plays than like hard removal type of things. So and in purple especially, like Deadly Balance is more of a combo enabler than a defensive tool a lot of the time. Core Theft, as good as it is, you have to really build into it in order to maximize it. In this list, it didn't test quite as well. So
what about your sideboard, Harry? Because we haven't mentioned that before we go on to your matchups. Because
the beautiful madness.
This is very interesting. Sorry about the technical issues there, guys. Like, carry on.
That's all right. Yeah. So I mean, the K and Peaks are just like cards I like. I ran them in the main and like locals and stuff, but I think if you're testing side options, like I just main it because otherwise I'm not going to see it. Like if I'm going to locals, The K is just a mad bit of glizz. It's super nice. The Peaks is good as well, but we found that for every matchup except White, I would just rather have the second Impaler Forest than Peaks. Although Peaks is like, I mean, it's my it's my signature card. And it's so good. Even at this event, it was amazing. Like I had a couple games where I sided it in, and it was just like people picked it up Reddit. They're like, oh, or like okay, and you're just looping Tin Soldiers off it. So yeah, I think the side definitely had some fun elements to it. It wasn't a perfect side by any means. Like there's definitely a lot that I would have changed. And I think the fact that we were ill in the last week and couldn't really do that last bit of refinement did show at the end. But no, the side was pretty good. The Alice came clutch in a game as well. It was a lot to like. I think.
So let's talk about your matchups finally then. Because you made it all the way to the semi-finals, so a lot of epic opponents, I'm sure, with only taking one loss in Swiss.
Indeed.
Or 2 losses in Swiss. Sorry, I can't remember exactly. Well, you were 5-2 in the end.
Yeah. I guess in principle, I'd say just shout out everyone I played. They were all really nice. Obviously, Long isn't the most conversational guy, but everyone else was very down for a joke and a laugh. I think Cheshun, the guy who was first in Swiss on day one as well. He didn't speak a lot of English, so he wasn't the most conversational in that respect, but he was friendly and jovial when I spoke to him afterwards and stuff. So yeah, everyone was really nice. In terms of the sort of breakdown, round one I played against an Italian guy called Nicola. He had like a more aggressive purple list. Game one, it was just like we both played out our Nexuses and start swinging at each other. He had the 2 swamp out. I went down to 1. I just kept persistently trying to attack with the hippo, looping it with Impaler Forest, and eventually it got the hit in to put me back to 2. And then at that point, I think one thing about the deck was that if you play against other purple, like you should just decimate them at a point, because your value generation, like with the Tin Soldiers, you're guaranteeing yourself the draws off swamp, whereas they're quite stuck. Like they have to use swamp to loop Black Lance, but they have to draw into the Black Lance, they have to summon the Black Lance, they need a reduction on board for it, whereas with the Tin it was just quite easy. So yeah, a close game, but I clutched it out again. Really nice guy. Then can't really remember how game 1 went. I think it was just a long game 1 that I won. And then game 2, I won in time, unfortunately. Like, he definitely would have won that game. He had the 2 Elks out. But yeah, it's just how it goes. Like, I don't know. But again, a really nice guy. We're having good ban. Then round 3, I played against Scottish David. He was using a very aggressive, like, curse beatdown, but with Matt Butterfly's mained as well to discount the beam rifle. I managed to heal twice with Hippocampo within the first like 3 turns and still nearly lost. Such was the incredible aggressive power of his deck. It was very difficult. But again, just like the blessed was too clutch. So yeah, won that one. The fourth round was so good.
He definitely says he's well, last time I played him, he said he's more of a aggro specialist when he plays. So that's not a surprise to see that he was running purple rush.
Yeah, it was really good. I think he just called it like monkey swing. He's just like attacking. He's like monkey see, monkey do. But yeah, nice guy. It was a good game. The round 4, I think that was. I mean, I have had some pretty spicy games over the past couple tournaments. This one might have been the best one for a long time. This was an insane game against an Elk White. I won in the end after a really long game 1. It was like a 55-minute game 1 or something. Yeah.
I was there for the end of this game. It was your face was insane. Your like the relief on your relief and confusion and like happiness all at the same time. You were like, I won. You had to like ask him after he'd given up. You were like, I've actually won this.
It was literally like if he had suppression, he won. He had like 6 or 7 cards in deck. He'd used 4 ice shield and 3 suppression. So I'm like, well, yeah, it
He
literally
actually,
just came down to
he
that.
actually
I had
turned
no
over
cards
it.
in deck. It was
Yeah,
so
he
sick.
turned over the last 3 or 4 cards in deck, and suppression was there. And he just pointed at it. He was like, yeah,
No.
crazy end.
But still, great game, great guy. He ended up in top 8 as well. So yeah, shout out Kai. He was a very good opponent. But yeah, an epic game. Then we get to round 5. That was against Chichin again. So that was on stream. That was my first one on stream. I will say I'm cursed on stream. I've never won a game on stream, and in 2 of them I've made critical misplays. This being one of them. I think with this setup, again, the production quality was very good, which I appreciate. As someone experiencing it, it was a bit difficult in that they used static as white noise to block out the commentary, but that meant that we couldn't really hear each other properly. Particularly, again, like the guy was from Hong Kong, didn't speak much English, was quite quiet anyway, had the face mask on and stuff. So it was like, there was constantly this like, oh, sorry, what did you say? Like type of things. It wasn't the most comfortable, like mutually so. And again, I was ill. These are me just getting all my excuses out of the way before we get to the big misplay in the game 3 where yeah. So I'd won at that point. I think like I had the scope out flash. Like he went insanely aggro at a point just to try to get through. Like I had a Noman Guard on board and another one in hand, I think. And if I flashed in the scope out, I would have won. But just reflexively, I was like no flash, and then immediately I'm like, And like I don't like trying to take things back in that instance. Like I'm quite a masochist. I should be punished if I make that mistake. So yeah, lost in because of my own error. And then of course, as soon as I take my headphones off, the first thing I hear the commentator saying is and I spoke to him later. He's a nice guy. But still, imagine me. I've just lost in this situation. I take my headphones off. I'm effing and jeffing up like fucking won that game. Take it off, and the commentator's like, yeah, so that's why you just play a pure purple rather than trying to run other colors. And I'm just like I lost it. I completely lost my head at that point. Just like, I was
literally
gone.
getting schooled by commentators that were complained about for not having enough knowledge of the game. Like, so
for real. Like,
yeah.
I was tilted. I was tilted like the Tower of Pisa, bruv. It was bad. But anyways, next round I end up playing against our boy, the lovely Andre, your teammate.
my teammate, yeah, my guy.
Played a very similar list to Kieran, which thankfully I knew very well.
I wonder how.
Still,
I wonder
stealing
how.
it from Aaron. Yeah.
Was that the Aaron Hippocampal list that you play again?
Yeah, I played against my stepson in that round. Jet Wyvern, beat down. And yeah, of course, the tilt gets exacerbated further when turn 2, he Star Bless, draws 4. I'm like, great, end up losing that game. Game 2, Star Bless, draw 4. Turn 3, Star Bless, draw 4. And I'm just there like, all right, this is how my run ends. I lose a game that I definitely won to a misplay, and now I'm just getting Muay Thai'd by Star Bless draw. But thankfully, I think anyone who's met Andre knows that he's just like the best guy ever, and he really like, I don't know if he did it consciously. Maybe it's just like because he's such a nice guy, but I feel like he went quite out of his way to lift my spirit up and like keep me in it.
He's definitely that kind of guy. He wants everyone to have a good time. And even I've seen him have some serious adversity in tournaments where, at one point his game was ruled incorrectly for end of time rules. And he ended up losing when he shouldn't have. And not many people will be able to take that kind of hit and still have a smile on his face. And, even the judge that made the mistake, who ended up admitting it was wrong, at the end, Andre was like the last person to shake his hand and say, don't worry. And, he's just such a kind soul. And he doesn't really play the game as much as I'd like with him being my teammate. But he's just such a nice guy that I wouldn't have anyone else as someone I can trust to hang out with at the tournament. So what a guy.
I think if I played anyone else outside of maybe like my own teammates or one of you, like the tournament would have just been over. Like I would have been tilted, I would have been in my own head, my opponent would have played up on it, and I would have just been out. But Andre, again, kept my spirits up. I ended up coming back and winning. Finally, game 3, I just sided out all the wins. I was that tilted by Star Flash draw. I'm like, get out of my deck, Beldegor. Get out of my deck, Black Lads. But yeah, it just ended up being a fun
Shout out
match.
to Andre as well, for he also qualified for Worlds, so he'll be in LA with us. Well, he's he's also qualified for One Piece Worlds, but I'm trying to convince him to come
he
and play
isn't playing
with us.
Battle Spirits World.
Well, he's not sure yet. He's not sure. Yeah. He's on the fence. So maybe everyone in the comments say, "Come play Battle Spirits, Andre." You comment, like, and subscribe, guys. You got to help us. So yeah. But so what was your next round after Andre? So that would have been round 5.
Andre was round 6, so then we get to round 7, and that was against Zachary Bell, who, again, big shout out to him. He was just really nice, really friendly. Had a great game, and I think, like, Kieran might recall, for example, in launch event all those yonks ago, when me and him played in round 4, and like he won game 1 after like 40 minutes, and we're just like, yeah, you probably win the match, you know? It's like, how am I gonna come back here? But that doesn't mean that you're like down or bitter or annoyed. Like, you're still jovial, you're still friendly. And again, I think at that point when I lost the game 1, I just kind of accepted it. I'm like, well, you know, it's out of my hands now. Whatever happens. So I sided in Peaks and K just because I was like, well, if I'm gonna go out, I'm gonna go out with a bag. And then game 2, I actually saw both of them. I was looping the Tin Soldiers. It was just a great time. And again, bless him, like he was clearly like trying to play so quickly. He's there like Whiplash or something, like just and I'm like, bro, like it's cool, thank you. Like I get it, but it's fine. Like, you probably win. And he did win in the end. He ended up in top 8 as well. I guess I scraped into top 8. I mean, I did. I was 8th, so, but I wouldn't say undeservedly so. Like, it would have been a bit dead if I fell out of top 8 in that way. But yeah, that was that for day 1.
Amazing.
Then yeah, the top 8 was again against Chechun, who I played in round 5. So obviously, having played him before, like, I think Emmy can attest to this, where firstly, I'll attest to the EXO day 1 curse where you lose in top 8 immediately. But then more specifically, I bring up Emmy because I think when I played Emmy in Glasgow, I think he learned and adapted from the first time we played into the second time we played. The second time we played, he was a lot more aggressive with the Axe Biters and the Nomengard, which was correct. And like, I lost because of it. Whereas I think in the first game where I played Emmy in Glasgow, he was maybe a bit too respectful with the Axe Biters and the Nomengards and allowed me to build into the purple stuff a bit more. And I guess by a similar logic, it applied to the match in top 8 where I'd gotten a bit more of a grasp. Also, the open decklist stuff is quite interesting as well, because I could see that he ran Infernal Kings in the main with no Bacillus, which obviously then changes the way that you play. Whereas if you're going in blind, you're like, well, I have to play around the combo, and now I'm like, oh, no, I don't. I just have to play around Infernal King and I'm chilling. But yeah, I can't remember exactly. I think I lost game 1. Oh yeah, because you get deck checked, right? Again, this is another top cut curse. Is you get deck checked, and then your opening hand is 3 Ice Shield or something, and I'm like, well, I'm playing against like an aggressive deck. I should probably keep this hand, but I'm not happy about it. And you're just try to get through it. But yeah, I think the main credit that I would give myself in that match is kind of adapting to it. Like I'm pretty sure I sided out the curse combo. I was just like, look, it's a tempo match at this point. Either I win the tempo race with the blessed and all the other tools I have access to, or he wins it through the purple aggression. And then yeah, game 3 was won by Alice being very clutch. He had an Enterprise that was very clutch for him as well. When he dropped Enterprise, I was like, oh lordy lord, this is difficult with my hand of 5 deadly balance. I'm like, great, having to just throw them away. But then yeah, the Alice, the lady of the hour. Shout out Josh for lending me the PT one. It was very, very clutch. So yeah, a good game against him. And then yeah, top 4 against Long Dao. So in our preparation, that again, when you're deciding a deck, obviously you have to do an element of prediction in terms of, well, I think these will be in the top tables. If I play against some stuff, like you're gonna have areas of weakness no matter what. I think for us, the areas of weakness that we decided we would allow ourselves would be Star Dragons and Fable Beasts. Those were the two matchups where it isn't that we're not prepared for them. It's just that our build isn't tailored towards beating them in the same way that it was tailored towards beating Control White and Purple and Green aggro, because we thought that those three would be more popular than things like Star Dragons and Fable Beasts. And to be fair, that was a pretty accurate assessment. Like, I only played one Fable Beast, and it happened to be in top 4. But what that did mean was that it was an uphill battle. I got thoroughly dismantled, but fair enough. I think it was a brave decision from him and his team, because again, like there turned out to be quite a relevant Star Dragon presence at the event. I guess our tier list video had a bit of an impact on the community.
Yeah. Shout out to Alex, who was asking us why we thought Nova was good. He did tell me that he wasn't playing Nova before he came on the podcast, but after the podcast he did switch to Nova. So no, I doubt that was our influence, but yeah, they were all of the American Duelist guys. Shout out to them; they were all really nice to meet them all.
Yeah,
they were all running the Star Dragons, and they did all have a good showing. That I know that they would obviously prefer to be in top 8. All of them, they're very competitive guys, but they did all make the top 32, which is a very impressive feat, considering there was such a short time to adapt the red list. But yeah, they kind of helped prove us right with our tier list. So shout out to you guys. Also, shout out to the Church of Pentan guys, because John's part of the Team Duelist as well, True Duelist team. Yeah, just really lovely guys. Thanks a lot. We forgot to mention it last week, but thanks a lot for shouting us out on your podcast. We hope to do some collaborations and stuff in the future, which I'm sure you guys will all really enjoy. So it's lovely to meet you all, and I'm sure, Emmy, you're going to probably go and meet a few of them next week, because obviously you weren't there at Pro Tour, but they're all going to be at the Grand Open as well, so you'll have your opportunity there.
It'll be great to meet them.
But yeah, what are your final thoughts, Harry, on your tournament overall? Are you happy with your results in the end?
Well, look, I was really ill, so yeah, I did I did really well, considering that I was throwing up all morning and like couldn't eat anything. Yeah, I think I did all right in hindsight. But yeah, no, I will say that, like, I guess it's more of a general psychological thing, but I think there's this trend where like people like to assume that lists are the final product. I don't think any list that I've run at an event has been what I consider to be a final product. They're all still testing things. They're all still research. Like,
it never ends.
Exactly. So from this one, of course, there are things that I take away and I'm like, oh, well, if I made that change and that change, I might have won. Similar to Glasgow. Like, I built the Glasgow list the night before, and it's just like, I wanted to try Swordsman Dragonarg. I wanted to try multiple cores. But I think that it's important, again, like, I think it's important to have fun. I think that it's important to try new things and to not be mired into the winning mentality, because then we expand and we grow. And one really good thing about this Pro Tour was that people turned up. Like, there were amazing lists. Like, there were people running K Control. There was another Tin Soldier Turbo as well. Like, I wasn't the only one, you know, like, just everyone showing up with really interesting stuff. Like the Hatfield beatdown deck, like, that's an interesting interpretation of white. Your green aggro, like, it was all doing something different, and I think that that's what we want as a player base. Like R2's list as well, R2 and Sampo's purple control. It wasn't your bog standard normal purple control. It ran different things.
Shout out to R2 actually getting second place as well, like another one of the boys. We will definitely get him on soon. He's going to be one of our guests.
We'll have our fated rematch eventually, my friend, but not this time.
We'll get into it at a later date, but that guy was literally out at 3 a.m. with me in a techno club the night before Top Cut, and he still managed to take second place. And he had the opportunity to go home, but he insisted on carrying on. So shout out to that legend.
True champion. That's how a true champion does it, bro. Our boy.
Okay, so that was basically triple sort of deck profile podcast, but Emmy unfortunately wasn't there. However, he is going to the tournament at the weekend. So, have you got a few thoughts on what you said you haven't decided finally what you're going to play yet, but have you got any thoughts on what you're going to expect?
No, I think the history repeats after set 2. In Europe, we have the first Grand Open, so we have very little information, insights on what everyone is gonna be playing. Of course, the last podcast with Alex, we discussed his take on what set 3 will be like, which in his opinion and other people's opinion is gonna be the Gale green deck, which has proven being extremely strong in what is the fundamental combo of ramping with Tokiwa, Jaeger, and the new Void Lord. And we've seen Jaeger and the new Void Lord being absolutely super strong, for lack of better words. But which type of Gale deck is yet to be kind of explored, because at a certain point, if you look at it, it can be seen as a bit of a high rolly deck where, yes, if you find the Highlands and you find the right Gale cards, you ramp absolutely out of your mind Hurricane Highlands stacks, so you can end up ramping 6 or even 10 in one turn is absolutely ridiculous at times. But then it opens a question to, okay, what's your game plan then? Do you want to go quite linear and try to just find Highlands, ramp, and win with Fenquan, or do you want to try a bit more tempo approach? So I think in the wider group we're having discussion of if this kind of really ramps you out of your mind, what are the key cards that you consider playing off color? Because obviously green is relatively, I would say, new. It's been out for 2 sets now, out of the 3, yes, but still has less cards, so is lacking some of the tools that other colors have. So what can you dig from other colors? Personally, I am testing that. I've been looking at blue as well, has some interesting cards. It in itself, I don't like the whole crash approach, but there are some really interesting cards in blue, I think. But yeah, all this to say,
I actually won with Crush in the draft. I milled a player out, which was really satisfying.
Nice. Which one was it?
30 card deck though, so it's made it a little bit easier. But no, yeah, I was just using. I had a bunch of the Crush cards, to be honest, and most of the games. Kieran had a game as well, which was very similar. Basically, playing as many spirits as you can until it just gets to a point where it's like, okay, I win, and that's basically what happened. And it got to the point where he had, I think, 9 cards left in deck, and I was like, oh, I can crush you for 9 this turn. So I just did that and passed and won the game that way, which was hilarious. But
well, if you're ending up, oh no, you're not going to be the head. I was thinking you might have been the head judge of this one, because I could have asked you to just run a draft instead of a Grand Open, and then I'll be playing blue. That could have worked.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a method cool. Although it was my first draft, so I put too many spells in and got beaten in my first game by because he had Sampo, I think, had 30 spirits in his deck, so that sucks.
You live and you learn. Draft is really fun.
No, it was very cool. It was, and especially being free made it even better. So, but yeah, so you're looking forward to the weekend then? You're excited? You're going to get your Pro Tour spot?
Well, hopefully, because it's my last chance, so I'll definitely try my best.
You've got this. You've got this for sure.
Getting there, thank you. Thanks for everyone in the group that is helping with testing and looking at lists. And obviously, I'm going with Carlo. Shout out to Carlo and obviously Kieran will be there. So curious to know your take, Kieran, as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think it'll be very Gale-centric tournament, mainly because of Mr. Blanded himself and the Facebook post. But there's a lot of really fun and strong cards in set three. I've been trying some purple low cost kind of curse stuff. The curse deck actually has got a lot of support in that set. In set three, yellow looks really fun as well and very, very spicy. I mean, I could pick up every single color. They did a really good job designing the set. I'm a big fan of red. Apollo is my favorite card in set three. That card is absolutely incredible. Being able to just board wipe an AoE effect for red is really important. So honestly, expecting a lot of Gale, but probably could be absolutely anything. I'm not sure what color I think is we got the least support out of set three, but yeah, everything's pretty strong.
We will definitely have a set free tier list next week with a little grand open report. So if you enjoyed our last tier list, guys, be sure to tune into episode 6. And yeah, but that's pretty much it for today. So thanks you guys for the stream. Podcast.
One more thing.
There is a few more things, but yeah, go on, Harry.
I'd like to give one more shout out. So on the Sunday, because I wasn't staying in Utrecht, I was staying a bit further out, and my friends, or my teammates, like had their girlfriends with them and stuff, so they didn't come with me. I came on my own, and like I was really sad that morning. Again, like as nice as it is to make top 8, I was more sad about the fact that my friends didn't, so I was really down. I arrived early, go to get a coffee. I see someone sat. I'm like, no, you good? Didn't really recognize him. And he's like, oh, can I buy you a coffee? I'm like, oh yeah, okay. We sit down, we start talking. Turns out it's Danny, who also ended up in top 8. And I saw his list. I'm like, that looks familiar, because there was Swordsman Dragonaga and multiple cores. And he's like, yeah, like I really liked your Glasgow list. Da, 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 da. I've been sat next to you in a couple tournaments. I watched your games. Like, just brought a lot of positivity, and again, like really uplifted me. So again, big shout out to him. Definitely perked me up in the right way before Top Cut. So
nice. It's all about positivity and enjoying ourselves. That's why we play these games. So to have stuff like that. I actually had a guy come up to me complimenting about the podcast, a guy all the way from America, which I thought was really nice. Just to get that kind of feedback so early on. So yeah, no, if you see us at tournaments, guys, please come up and chat with us. We are approachable, and we will bribe you with free cards and free deck boxes in order to get subscriptions. Just ask Enoch, our friend. Yeah, so but yeah, no, thanks again, guys, for watching us. We got the question time on the round from Emmy. He's going to give us a quick question before we leave. So what's your question this week?
Yeah, so I have hopefully like a quick question, but I'd love to hear from all of you. If you could go back, but you had to pick a different deck from the one that you've seen this weekend, so you don't have to rebuild one. You have to pick one that you've seen this weekend, maybe one that you played against, actually. So you have to go back and play the whole tournament again with one of the decks that you played against, which cannot be Aaron's deck. Which one is? Kieran,
so specific. No, okay,
yeah,
Kieran.
Yeah, that's very specific. No, I think my favorite list I saw from the weekend was the it was, I think, the 5-color Smog list. It played Grimoire Fairy as the yellow part of it. Yeah, the deck would look great. I mean, Grimoire Fairy adds any magic card off the top 4, so if you're adding an Ice Shield, fantastic, and whatnot. So that list looked to me like the most fun to probably play, and the opponents would never know what you're doing, because I don't think you would know yourself.
Yeah, that's fair. What about you, Harry?
I mean, if it's restricted to people who I played against, I mean, in the nicest way, like their builds were quite normal. I think I would have rather, well, except for Andre with my stepchild. I would have happily played my stepchild, I guess, with Nomen Guards in there. Obviously, like I ran Nomen Guard out of color in purple, for God's sake. Like, of course I'd run it in normal white. But no, in terms of just what we saw, yeah, I think the Pentasmag list was really cool. Even again, like Cosmic and them lot, like they had a really spicy K stuff going as well. It was just an awesome tournament in that respect. There was a lot of smag as well. Like you saw a bunch of smag floating about, like 4 smags in a lot of lists. So yeah, I think yeah, big shout out to Alberto and Nicolo. They came 9th and 11th respectively, I think. With Alberto, it's funny. I think that's like 2 tournaments now where he's finished just below me. So we always, like, on the bubble we have the same scores, so we always joke a bit about that. But yeah, really nice guys, really great list. And yeah, the Pentasmag list was mwah, chef's kiss. R2's list as well, very cool. Him and Sampo always cooking in the kitchen alongside us. So yeah. Very cool list.
So yeah, I'd say probably you Anders' list. Just because I love purple. Honestly, I really like my deck. I just ran into some bad matchups. Like I could have played better and stuff like that, but I'd have no regrets. I honestly think the Ant aggro 4K pokes, it was fun. I'm glad I managed to qualify with it. I would have been upset if I didn't, but you know, it's a similar vibe to when I qualified for the previous Pro Tour using Luster. It was definitely not the right choice, but it was a fun choice. So yeah, that says it all for me. But yeah, no, that's about it, guys. Sorry for any technical issues today. Oh, Harry's got one more little bit.
One more thing that just came to mind. I'm gonna give a couple more shout outs. Firstly,
yep, that's fine.
Shout out the head judge, as there was a there was a mild discrepancy in my top 4 game against Long, where I swung with Nemesis, destroyed the Nemesis, and I wanted to deadly balance in that flash, and he thought that there wasn't a flash. We got the head judge there, and again, like the static and stuff that was going on made it quite difficult for the head judge to communicate to us. I think he was trying to say that there was a flash window, but it ended up coming across as if he said that there wasn't. And then after the game, you know, he apologized. He was very remorseful about it. But again, just like it wasn't his fault. And the fact that he felt like he should apologize in that respect, I think was very kind of him. So shout him out. And also shout out the commentator as well. I understand he came from a different game, and I had quite a confusing list. I guess I'd say for future ones, if one is unsure, maybe just ask the player, like just before the game, maybe just to get a bit more. Like I amended that in the day 2 when I was on the stream, and I was like, look, maybe just show Tin Soldiers as the card, and like these are the kind of synergies that go. And I think after that, I mean, I haven't seen the streams back yet. Obviously I lost. Why would I watch it back? But I think the second time round there was a bit more of an informed opinion in that respect. So again, I understand that it's difficult for everyone, and you know, mistakes are made all around. Certainly on my end, I make mistakes all the time. But yeah, again, just really nice guys all around. And
yeah, and I mean, massive shout out to Bandai and Danilo, the TO. They're trying to raise the production value of everything and trying to get things moving in the right direction. And we had over 100 people on the stream for quite a lot of it, so you know, definitely moving in the right direction as we move into season 3. And with that in mind, we're, you know, there's the Nexus podcast, the Nexus YouTube channel. We do have a lot of plans to do more content for you guys, and we're thinking of creative, fun ways to do some gameplay videos and stuff that doesn't necessarily fully just involve meta, and you know, lots and lots to come. So yeah, just keep your eyes on the prize, guys. Keep looking at the channel, subscribe. We will have social media channels coming up to keep you guys reminded. This is all going to come soon. we're still in our infancy at the moment, but we have big plans, and yeah, I think we're all really enjoying doing the podcast for you guys. So
Yeah.
keep
Thanks
watching,
for the
and
like.
we'll keep doing it. So yeah, that's about it, guys. Any final words? Have you got any more, Harry? Before we try and cut you off.
I just want to say thanks for the likes and the comments, like on all the videos. A lot of good engagements, and when
Yeah,
we
everyone
post
in the
them.
Discords as well saying nice
Yeah.
things. It's
been amazing.
It's really encouraging.
Really good.
And yeah, it's just the beginning. It's gonna be. Oh,
Your cards are here as well, guys.
Yeah,
the old
Oh yes.
Pro Tours. You all got to pick one.
Yeah,
And,
Harry
have to
being
imagine it.
being Santa early. So yeah, no. Thanks again, everyone, for watching, and yeah, we'll see you next week for a grand open / tier list for set 3. So good luck, Emmy, and see you next time.
See you later.
Later.